10 minutes later, security called asking me to return my company notebooks. I told them to check my employment contract. Personal notebooks purchased with personal funds remained personal property. At 1:30, Helen called laughing. Casey just tested me. She saw Jessica on LinkedIn posting about exciting new opportunities at Brimvale. Apparently, she's trying to spin this as a positive restructuring. How's that working out? 3 of your former clients have already posted asking where you went. Word travels fast in biotech by 3 p.m. after a very promising phone interview with Driftshade. I had my answer to Jessica's earlier question about sabotage. This wasn't sabotage implied. I'd actively worked to damage something. I'd done nothing except take my knowledge with me when they showed me the door. The fact that Jessica hadn't bothered to learn how the department actually functioned, that was her choice. The fact that she had fired the only person who understood the intricacies of their biggest accounts, that was her decision. I'd spent 15 years building something valuable. Jessica had spent 15 minutes destroying it. Now she was learning what that knowledge was actually worth. My phone buzzed with another text from Beth Holligate called, "They want to know if you're available for freelance consultation." Apparently they're very unhappy with Brimvale's lack of preparation. I typed back, "Tell them I'm not available, but they might want to consider Driftshade Limited for their biotechniques." Sometimes the best revenge is simply stepping out of the way and letting people face the consequences of their own actions. Saturday morning brought clarity in the form of a phone call from Tom. My former colleague from the Shanghai team, Randy, "I need to tell you something." He said, "I probably should have told you weeks ago." I poured coffee and sat down. "I'm listening." Jessica has been calling our international clients, not for relationship building, for information. She wanted to know about contract terms, renewal dates, pricing structures, things she should have learned from internal files. The picture became clearer. What else? She asked me to send her copies of all my client correspondence, said it was for quality assurance review. When I told her that was already logged in the CRM system, she insisted she needed the originals. I felt something cold settle in my stomach. "Did you send them?" "No. But Randy, I think she was building a case against you, trying to prove you were hiding information or mismanaging accounts that explained the sudden interest in my methods. The questions about my client relationships? Jessica hadn't been trying to learn from me. She'd been trying to replace me with documentation she could control." There's more. Tom continued yesterday. After the Hollow Gate disaster, she called an emergency meeting. Told everyone that you deliberately withheld critical information to sabotage the company. And Beth shut that down fast. Pointed out that you'd offered to train Jessica on all your accounts. When she first arrived, Jessica had declined, saying she preferred to develop her own approaches. I remembered that conversation. 3 months ago, I'd spent an entire weekend preparing training materials for Jessica, detailed client profiles, communication preferences, technical requirements. She had glanced through them and said traditional relationship management was too time-intensive for modern business practices. "What's the mood in the office?" I asked, tense. "Mark has called an all-hands meeting for Monday. Where it is? He's bringing in external consultants to assess the client relations crisis." After Tom hung up, I sat thinking about the deeper implications. Jessica hadn't just fired me impulsively. She'd been planning it for weeks. The Hollow Gate presentation was supposed to be her proof that she could handle my responsibilities. A successful meeting would have validated her approach and justified my termination. Instead, it had exposed how little she understood about the work she'd inherited. My phone rang. Driftshade Limited. "Randy, this Patricia Holloway from Driftshade. We'd like to schedule an in-person interview for Monday. Our team was very impressed with your experience. I'd be interested to hear more. Frankly, we've been watching Brimvale's recent changes with concern. Several of our partners have mentioned disruptions in their client service. We're looking for someone who understands the importance of relationship-based business development." After she hung up, I realized Jessica had done me a favor for years. I'd been comfortable at Brimvale, good salary, familiar routines, established relationships. But I'd stopped growing. I'd become so focused on maintaining what I'd built that I'd forgotten there were other places to build. Helen found me in the garage that afternoon, organizing tools I hadn't touched in months. "Productive day?" she asked in lightning day. "I have an interview Monday with Driftshade. They're offering a 20% salary increase and equity options." "That's wonderful. But you don't seem happy about it." I put down the wrench I'd been holding. "I keep thinking about my team. Beth, Tom, the others. They're good people caught in Jessica's mess. You can't save everyone, Randy. You can only control what you do next. She was right. Jessica had made her choices. Now she'd live with the consequences. My job was to make better choices for my own future. Monday morning, I put on my best suit and drove to Drift Shade Limited headquarters in downtown Kansas City. The interview went better than expected. By noon I had a formal offer. Senior Director of Client Relations, 25% salary increase, full benefits and a signing bonus that would cover Casey's college tuition for the next 2 years. I accepted on the spot, walking out of their offices. I felt lighter than I had in months, not because of the money, because of the possibilities. Drift Shade was growing fast, landing contracts with pharmaceutical giants and research universities. They needed someone who understood how to build lasting client relationships in a competitive market. Someone exactly like me. My phone buzzed with a text from Beth. Brimvale stock dropped 3% this morning.